Have you ever found a letter that could change your life? A letter hiding a secret for decades. And what it reveals might make you afraid to return to your own home. Today, I will take you on the story of a letter from the past. A letter with no sender. Yet it tells of something hidden in an old house. Something everyone tried to keep secret. You will hear the whisper of the wind, the rustle of paper, and feel a chilling presence as if someone is always watching you. What has been hidden is waiting for someone to discover. Do you dare to open it? Because the truth inside might shock you beyond words. If you are ready, let us uncover the secret from the past together. The evening sunlight streamed through the window. A cool breeze brushed against the curtain softly. I sat on the old wooden chair in my grandfather's library. My hand traced the dust on the wooden table. The smell of old wood and aged paper mixed together, making my heart beat unevenly. I picked up a yellowed envelope. It had been hidden beneath a pile of old books. The envelope had no sender's name, but the handwriting looked familiar. I carefully tore open the envelope. The sound of paper crinkling echoed softly in the silent room. When I opened the letter, the smell of old ink and paper filled my nose instantly. My eyes began reading the first line. Some words made my heart race. The letter spoke of events that had happened in this house decades ago. Events that no one in the family ever mentioned. I continued reading with trembling hands. One line said, "He is still here, waiting for someone to uncover the truth." The wind blew harder. The window rattled slightly. A chill ran through my body. I looked around the room, but nothing seemed to move. My hand traced along the edge of the envelope, trembling as if it contained a living pulse. The shadows in the room seemed to stretch and twist in the corners of my vision. I could hear the faint creak of the floorboards beneath the chair, though I had not moved. A sudden draft brushed against my neck, cold and insistent. I turned slowly, half expecting someone to be standing there. The room was empty, but the air felt heavier than before. I returned my gaze to the letter. The handwriting seemed to shift slightly as I read, though I knew that was impossible. The next line made my stomach tighten. "Do not look behind the door at midnight. They watch. Always watch." My pulse quickened. I glanced toward the old oak door at the far end of the room. It was closed, solid and ordinary, yet a chill ran down my spine as I stared at it. The wind whispered through the cracks around the windowpane, sounding almost like a voice, soft, urgent. I tried to steady my breathing. The letter continued, describing events in painstaking detail. Voices in the night, footsteps that never left prints, and objects that moved on their own. Each word etched images into my mind, images I could not unsee. Suddenly, the room grew colder. A shadow flickered across the wall, though no one had passed by. I froze, heart hammering, listening. A low, almost imperceptible whisper seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. "Do you see me?" I jumped, my hand clutching the letter tightly. The whisper faded as quickly as it had come. I told myself it was my imagination, the wind, anything but what it seemed to be. Still, the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. I took a deep breath and forced myself to keep reading. The letter spoke of a hidden room, long sealed, somewhere in the house. A room where someone, or something, had been trapped decades ago. The writing urged the reader to uncover the truth, to bring closure. A sudden noise made me start. A soft knock, tap, tap, echoed from the oak door. It was too deliberate, too slow, too human to be accidental. I could not move, could not even speak. The letter trembled in my hands, though I held it still. A line at the bottom seemed to glow faintly, almost as if written with living ink. "You have been chosen. Do not fail to see what must be seen." I swallowed hard. Every instinct in my body screamed to leave, to run, to escape. But some unseen force held me there, glued to the chair, staring at the door. The knocking came again, this time more insistent, urgent. I forced my legs to move, rising slowly. The wooden floor groaned under my weight, each step magnifying the silence that hung in the room. I approached the door cautiously, hand reaching for the cold, brass handle. As I grasped it, a sudden gust of wind slammed the door shut behind me, though I had not noticed anyone opening it. The room plunged into darkness, shadows pooling in the corners like living things. I turned the handle, but it would not budge. I pressed my ear against the door, listening. From the other side came a faint scratching, like nails on wood. A whisper echoed, clearer this time. "You are here. You see me now." The hair on my arm stood on end. I stumbled backward, almost dropping the letter. The envelope fell to the floor with a thud, and the letter slid open. The final lines burned themselves into my mind. Once opened, you cannot close it. Once seen, you cannot unsee. We are always with you. The air in the room thickened, suffocating and damp. I could feel something pressing against my chest, heavy, unseen. My vision blurred, and the shadows seemed to grow, coalescing into shapes that were almost human. Figures standing just beyond the edge of light, just beyond perception. I stumbled back toward the window, desperate to escape. The glass seemed impossibly far away. Outside, the garden was bathed in the soft glow of the fading sun, calm and serene, as if mocking the terror within. A sudden voice, louder now, whispered directly into my ear. You should not have read it. I spun around, but there was no one. The room felt impossibly large, the ceiling stretching into darkness. The walls seemed to close in, the shadows crawling along the floor toward me. I ran toward the door again, pounding on it, screaming. No response. Only the scratching, the whispering, the cold that gnawed into my bones. I could hear the ticking of an old clock somewhere in the distance, slow, deliberate, counting down. Time itself seemed to distort, dragging and stretching. I felt as though I had been here for hours, though the sun still clung to the horizon outside. Then, silence. An eerie, complete silence that pressed against my ears and made my heart ache. I turned slowly. The shadows were gone. The air had returned to normal. Yet the letter lay on the floor, open, and the last line seemed to burn into my mind once more. They are waiting, always waiting, and now, so are you. I sank to the floor, trembling. The wind outside whispered through the cracks again, softer this time, almost comforting. But I knew it was a lie. Something unseen lingered in the corners of my vision, something patient, something that would not leave until its story was finished. I could not tear my eyes away from the letter. Every line seemed alive, every word a heartbeat that echoed in the room. The air smelled of old ink and dust, but beneath it, something fouler, something metallic, lingered. I tried to stand, to move away, to close the letter, but my hands refused to obey. It was as though the words themselves had a will. They demanded my attention. They demanded my fear. Outside, the sky darkened. The first stars appeared, indifferent to the terror in the house. Inside, I shivered, alone with the letter and the promise it carried. A promise that the past had not yet released its hold. A promise that the truth would not remain buried. And then I heard it again. A soft, deliberate footstep on the floor behind me. Slow, careful, patient. I did not dare look. I could feel it approaching, unseen but certain. My heart pounded. Every instinct screamed to run, to flee, to escape the fate that had already found me. But I knew, deep in my soul, that I was too late. The past had found me. And it would not let go. I could feel the presence behind me, patient and silent. The shadows no longer moved, but the air remained thick with anticipation. My hands shook as I picked up the letter from the floor. The last lines seemed different now, softer, almost pleading. Only by facing the truth can you be free. Only by seeing what must be seen will the past release its hold. I swallowed hard and turned slowly toward the oak door. The brass handle felt cold in my palm. For the first time, I felt the faintest courage. I opened the door. The hallway beyond was empty, dimly lit by the last rays of sunlight. No footsteps, no whispers, only the distant creak of the old house settling. I walked slowly down the hallway, letter clutched tightly. Every step echoed like a heartbeat in the quiet house. I passed rooms I had known all my life, but tonight they seemed strange, unfamiliar, as if the house itself had shifted in time. Finally, I reached the attic. Dust motes floated in the air, illuminated by the narrow beam of sunlight through the small window. The hidden room the letter spoke of lay before me, sealed for decades. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. Inside, the room was empty, yet it radiated memory. Old furniture covered in white sheets. Cobwebs stretched across the corners. But the sense of presence was gone, replaced by stillness, by peace. I set the letter on a small table in the center of the room. A warmth spread through me, gentle and calm, as if the house itself was exhaling. The shadows in the corners faded. The air lightened. I knew then that the past had been waiting not to harm me, but to be acknowledged. To finally tell its story. The letter had been its voice, and I had listened. I stepped outside into the evening light. The wind no longer whispered threats. The sky glowed with the soft pink of sunset. I felt a weight lift from my chest, a quiet freedom I had not known before. I left the house slowly, glancing back once. The windows reflected the last light, peaceful and still. The letter remained behind, a bridge between past and present, waiting for the next curious soul. As I walked away, I felt a strange comfort. Some mysteries may never fully reveal themselves. Some shadows may linger in memory. But the past had finally released its hold. And I could move forward, carrying its lessons, carrying its story, in my heart. The house stood silent, timeless, yet alive with history. And for the first time, I understood. Some letters are meant to be found. Some stories are meant to be told. And some secrets only end when someone listens. Dash dash dash.